Hey fellow explorers, a common question I get from people planning a visit to San Diego is the San Diego Zoo better or is the safari park better? And I've grown up in San Diego, I've visited both these parks many times, and so that's what I'm gonna get down to in this video. Let's go ahead and go inside the zoo where it's a little more picturesque, and I'll tell you a bit more about what the differences between these two parks are. The first difference I wanna cover is the location, and many people mistakenly think that the zoo and the safari park are right next to each other, and they really couldn't be further apart in San Diego. The zoo, where I am right now, is in Balboa Park. It is very centrally located to downtown San Diego. It's just 2 miles from downtown and 2 miles from the airport, so a 10-minute drive from most places in central San Diego. And there's a lot of stuff to do around the zoo in Balboa Park. There's a lot of San Diego's best museums here. There's a golf course, there's a Frisbee golf course, so you can easily spend just a half day and then connect the San Diego Zoo with a lot of other San Diego great attractions. It's totally worth a whole day, but if you just want to spend a half day, you totally could. Now, the safari park, it's really kind of in the middle of nowhere. It is 32 miles northeast of the zoo in Escondido. Now, Escondido, there's a lot of people who live around there. There's a lot of stuff around there, but as far as touristy San Diego goes, it's not near the beach, it's not near other theme parks. There really aren't any other touristy attractions around the safari park, so you're pretty much gonna be going there and then going back to wherever you're staying or whatever else you're doing. You're probably gonna be spending the whole day at the safari park just because it's so remote. It's about a 45-minute drive from the San Diego Zoo. Definitely don't try and visit both parks in one day. But there's a lot more that's different than just that the parks are far apart. They have really different concepts. And so the concept at the San Diego Zoo is it's really kind of like a traditional zoo. This zoo starts from the early 1900s when some animals were left behind from the Panama, California exposition about 100 years ago in Balboa Park, in particular a lion. And so some people were like, what are we gonna do with this lion and these animals? And they said, let's put up a fence around it and call it a zoo. And so that's where the San Diego Zoo got its start. Now, it is one of the world's best zoos, and they're a pioneer in the open air, cageless type environment where when you're looking at the animals, you don't feel like you're looking at them through tiny holes in fences and things like that. You're looking at them in habitats that seem fairly natural, just the way they've created them. In addition to the animals, they do have some shows. You've also got a double-decker bus you can take on a ride around the zoo, and there's a really neat sky ride you can take over the top too. Now, the safari park is much newer. In fact, it was opened in the 1970s, so it's about half as old or half as young as the zoo, and the safari park was originally the breeding ground for the San Diego Zoo. It is 20 times the size of the zoo, and so the idea of the safari park is that's where you go to see animals actually in their natural habitat because they've got tons and tons of land there. The big attraction at the safari park is a tram that'll take you through where the animals actually live, and so you're not looking at them through fences or gates or enclosures. You're actually riding a tram and getting into the same habitat where the animals live. The safari park is notably home to the largest collection of hoofed animals in the world, and until 2010, it actually used to be called the Wild Animal Park, but in 2010, they changed the name to the Safari Park to reflect the safari-like experiences that you do when you visit that park. The third thing to know is about the price, and ticket prices to each park are exactly the same. One day at the zoo is gonna cost you the same thing as one day at the safari park, and actually if you buy an annual pass, it includes unlimited visits to both parks. Now, although ticket prices are the same, a day at the safari park is likely gonna cost you more. Why is that? Well, at the zoo, pretty much everything is included in your ticket price. Parking, there's a big parking lot out in front of the zoo. Free parking, entirely free. If you're here on the weekends, it might get busy and you might have to park in another lot and take a shuttle in, but it's still free. If you're at the safari park, you have to pay for parking. And the parking lot is so big that you might end up having to pay extra for the close-up premium parking. Now, in the zoo, there's kind of two main rides that are included. There's like a double-decker bus that you take through the zoo, and there's the sky ride. Those are also free, included in your admission. At the safari park, the one thing that's included in your admission is the tram that'll take you through the big safari animal area, but sometimes the lines for that can be really long, and if you don't want to stand in line, you can pay more money to skip the line. In fact, when we were there on a weekend, it was like an hour to stand in the tram line, and so we paid I don't know, $30 a person or something like that to not stand in the hour line. If you want to ride the carousel, if you want to go up in the balloon, there's a whole bunch of these extra activities at the safari park that all are going to cost you more money. And then, yes, you can spend more at the zoo too. They've got various tours that you can take that'll cost you more. You can do those extra activities in both places. Make sure to book those in advance if you plan to do those. The fourth thing to know is about the animals, and you're going to see different animals at the zoo and the safari park. So to start at the zoo, you're going to see more animals and a larger variety of animals. There are animals from all over the world at the San Diego Zoo. In particular, you're going to see the largest collection of koalas outside of Australia here at the zoo. You're going to find all of the bears. There are no bears over the safari park. My favorite here is the polar bear. Oh, and I definitely can't forget the pandas. You will only find pandas at the San Diego Zoo. You might have heard they were gone. They were in 2019. All the pandas went back to China. But in 2024, the pandas are now back once again at the San Diego Zoo. Now, over at the safari park, what are you going to see? You're going to see mostly animals from arid regions of the world, like the African and Asian savannas, but not to be outdone on Australian animals. They have 2 platypuses, or is that platypi, from Australia, these nocturnal animals. They're in fact the only 2 platypus outside of Australia. And at the zoo, you're gonna generally get closer to the animals. Like, I'm pretty close to those 2 giraffe right now, and you know, this is where you stand to see it, kind of like a traditional zoo. But at the safari park, you actually ride that tram into where they live, and so you don't look at them through fences, and you don't look at them in an enclosure, you look at them in their natural habitat. And so being with the animals in the same place really is a pretty unique experience at the safari park that you honestly can't get anywhere else. The fifth thing to know is about walking and getting yourself around, and I think the San Diego Zoo is easier to get around. They've got the double-decker bus that'll get you around. They've got the hop-on, hop-off bus that you can take to various areas. They've got the sky ride that you can take. The zoo is a little hilly though. There is one elevator in the middle that'll help take you up and down, but the reason why it's also easy to get around in addition to the shuttles to help you around is the safari park. I mentioned it's huge. It's 20 times the size of the zoo. Now, much of that is the safari animal area, but things at the safari park tend to be much more spread out. The parking lot is much bigger, and so you're going to be doing much more walking at the safari park than at the zoo. You'll find a lot more animals in a much more compact space at the main zoo. The sixth thing to know is about food, and since both the zoo and the safari park are operated by the same organization, the food is pretty similar. You're going to find burgers, hot dogs, pizza, that sort of thing. Nothing really that amazing. It's theme park, zoo type of food. There are 2 sit-down restaurants, 1 in each. So if you're looking for a nice place to eat at the zoo, you're gonna find it in this place called Albert's, and it has kind of a treehouse vibe over where the gorillas are. If you're at the safari park, you're gonna find the fancy dining restaurant over by the giraffes. It's called the Watering Hole at Kajami Overlook, and I think between the 2, I do like the sit-down restaurant at the safari park because it overlooks the whole safari area. Both of the sit-down restaurants do require reservations. Make those on OpenTable, or just go ahead and get your burgers, pizza, and hot dogs at any one of the casual restaurants all around either of the parks. And the seventh thing to know are about the hotel or lodging options. So at the San Diego Zoo, it's really close to central San Diego, close to downtown, so you're gonna find some of San Diego's nicest, although perhaps maybe priciest hotels to be around here. If you're looking for something cheap around the zoo, consider staying in Old Town or consider staying in Mission Valley. Up in Escondido, where the safari park is, there's not that many hotels, but you'll find the hotels there to likely be cheaper in price, just because about the only place you'll be going to there is the safari park, or people there for business, or people visiting family. But the safari park has a really neat thing. You can actually sleep in the park. They have this thing called Roar and Snore that's basically like a zoo glamping experience, and prices for that definitely vary around the year, but if you want to be the closest as you possibly can to the animals, do check that out. Note, there's no bathrooms in the tents. You do have to make a trek to the bathrooms, but if you're a camper anyway, that's a pretty neat opportunity. And the eighth difference is the weather. And Chrissy, aren't these places in the same city? How's the weather going to be that different? Well, Balboa Park is much closer to the coast, and the safari park is much more inland. And so if you are here in the summer on a hot day, the temperature at the safari park is probably going to be 20 degrees Fahrenheit warmer than it is at the San Diego Zoo. Now, in fall, spring, and winter, it's probably the same in both places, or not that much noticeable of a difference. But if you're here in summer, you might very well melt in the daytime over at the safari park. The zoo is a better choice on a hot summer day. So, okay, Chris, which one is it? Is the zoo better or the safari park better? Well, by the numbers, more visitors come to the zoo annually. 4 million visitors to the zoo, 1.5 million to the safari park. I think that's mostly based on the convenient location of the zoo and also the wide variety of animals. But if you're a true animal lover and you want to see them in their native habitats, go on the safari inside the actual area where they are with no fences between you and them. That's a unique experience that you can't have at many other zoos in the world. And so in that case, you should visit the safari park. Make sure you have a car because it's quite a bit of a drive. If you want to drive into more detail on either of these zoo parks, you'll find links up here on the screen to my detailed zoo video and my detailed safari park guide. All right, well, as usual, I won't say goodbye because I'll see you in one of those videos. Links are also in the description below.